Guys, today I have an amazing guest, co-founder of Superpower Beatdowns, Damian Beurer or Brewer.
Thank you. It's Beurer,
Beurer.
Damian Beurer. Yeah,
Uh,
it's not the easiest to say, and it's a little easier than Shunky. But we would joke back in the day that Porter was the easiest. So
okay.
so nice to meet you, Henry. Nice to actually have a conversation about all this silliness that's going on right now.
And yes, this is some silliness. Now, I imagine you've probably been sent a couple videos about me,
Yes.
which we're definitely going to touch on. But first, I want to get into when did you first meet Aaron?
First time I met Aaron was in 2004. Scratch that. We met earlier on a chat board called Bat in the Sun. Back in the dark ages of the internet and cosplaying, when it was just called costuming, there was a website called the Brotherhood of the Bat, and it was a chat with it was a chat setup which guys could talk about how they make their bat costumes, comic book stuff, whatever. But it was primarily a sharing wealth of knowledge. And there was a film section on there, and I would put my films that I was making. And Aaron was maybe 16 at the time, and 15 or 16 at the time, and posted a Batman Beyond video that he did in high school, and it was for a high schooler. It was pretty good. So he just became a regular. We just started chatting. 2005, I went out to San Diego. 2004, I went out to San Diego Comic Con, and I'm standing in the crowd taking photos of some friends in costume, and this kid just kind of saddles up next to me and like is eyeballing me, looking up and eyeballing me, and I'm looking down at him. I don't recognize him, and I was just looking down, and he goes, "Excuse me, are you Superman?" And the reason why he said that was because I did a bunch of stuff as Superman. I got hired by DC Comics to do some stuff for them. Um, WizKids, HeroClix. I was doing a bunch of stuff on top of just cosplaying in general.
Okay.
So at this convention, I meet Aaron for the first time. Nice to meet you, Aaron. Hey, this is my dad, Sean. Phenomenal to meet you guys. We exchanged numbers. We talked for a while, and everybody just kind of went their own way. So while I was there, I was working on the Thomas Jane film The Punisher, and this was in 2004, and it came out in 2005. And while I was at San Diego Comic Con, I had brought a Punisher costume that I had made for Dragon Con years ago, and I was walking around in it, and there just happened to be a Thomas Jane Punisher booth at San Diego Comic Con that year. And I'm walking by. I take a picture of myself in front of it to show the guys back home on set, and somebody comes running out and grabs me and goes, "Holy crap! We need you here!" And we find out that I'm working on the film, so I end up spending the rest of the weekend working for Marvel as the Punisher. And on one of my breaks, I was walking across the convention and went out to the DC booth, and they had a Wonder Woman and a Batman costumer for interactions with fans. And this Batman turns around, and it was like Alex Ross's Batman stepped out of the comic book. The mask, which we have never been able to replicate, was made out of like balloon rubber, and it was form fitting to his face. It couldn't have been a more perfect Batman, minus the sweat stains, because it was so freaking hot in the convention. So there's a photo of me, Batman, and Wonder Woman. I have the biggest shit-eating grin on my face, and it was because when Batman turned around, I got the uh, "Hey Frank" in Kevin's voice, and I just melted like a fanboy. Cut to 2 years later, I'm in Aaron's kitchen in Calabasas, California. I'm there because some guy, Kevin's, coming over, and we're doing a photo shoot for as him as Superman, and he's going to wear my Superman costume. So I'm sitting in the kitchen, door opens, and this guy walks in who I've never met before in my life, We stare each other in the eye, and at the same second, I go, Batman, and he goes, Punisher, and we jumped up and just embraced, and we were just buddies ever since then. And that night we shot a ton of stuff as Kevin as Superman. I'll see if I can dig those photos up, but we had a blast. And that was literally the beginning of the Bat in the Sun. Aaron did one or two shorts before I came in, and then I jumped in, and I literally, it was gangbusters, and we became a family. Everybody who was a part of it, it was a family. Aaron and Sean had been over my house for for New Year's Eve, for Thanksgiving. Like, we spent holidays together. It was a family. We did everything. If I had a job where we would travel for WizKids and HeroClix, I got Aaron involved, and as well as other friends. It's how you survive in Hollywood: is you help your friends grow, they help you, you grow together. It's the only way you're ever going to make it anywhere. And that's pretty much how it started. We started working on a few shorts. I was doing incredibly dangerous camera work, hanging off of 4-story roofs with Paul Molnar just holding my belt, or Tim Drake Robin. I'm drawing a blank on his name. I feel so bad. He was on set a few times as our Robin. I would be holding onto the hood of a white panel van with him on the roof, Sean as Black Mask behind the wheel, driving like 30 miles an hour, swerving like crazy, and I'm the guy on the hood with the camera getting all the scene. Like, we did insane shit. We were like anything and everything we could to make the stuff that we couldn't find online. No one was really doing it. There was a few things. There was Batman Dead End by Sandy Calora, and we would all get together and we would just shit talk all the other films and like, how could they make it better? How can we make it better? Not so much shit talk. It was we would tear down films. Same thing with real Hollywood films. We would tear them apart and say, why did this action scene work and why didn't it? And we would take these and then implement them into our projects, and that's how we got better. We challenged ourselves, and we made a pact at the very beginning, because there was I'm not going to name names, but there was a specific Batman filmmaker around the same time when we started in 2005, 2006, who was touting making a film in a week or less.
Oh, wow.
And they were decent, but it looked like he made them in a week or less. So they could have been better. And the reason they were the way they were, it was he was the writer, the director, the cameraman, sound, actor. He was doing literally everything. And it was burning him out, and it was showing in his work. So I sat down with Aaron and I said, this is what we're never going to do. We're never going to be the every hat. Everybody's going to have a job. We will share responsibilities, but we're not going to be on camera if we're behind the camera. We're not going to be... Basically just setting down ground rules for success. And that, I think, really saved us for a very long time, for what we were doing. And it's part of how we became so successful.
Okay.
Is really delegating and finding our friends who wanted to be there. And it's like what Paul said. It was a family, it was friends, and we found our groove, and we were making cool things. And that's pretty much what it was.
When he said
sorry, go ahead.
When he said Paul, guys, he's talking about the Paul Molnar interview that I actually showed him prior to conducting this interview, which we're going to touch on a little later. Mm-hmm. But who came up with the name Bat in the Sun?
Bat in the Sun is an Aaron and Sean original. That was something that they came up with before we ever met. And the story that I got was they wanted to do, because Aaron was such a huge Batman fan, they wanted Bat to be in the title. And a bat in the sun is essentially the first and bravest bat out of the cave at night into the night sky, into the sky, when the sun is just about to set. So a bat in the sun is a brave soul. That's essentially what it means. That's where that came from.
All
Yeah.
right. Now,
So it was a clever. It was a clever take.
sure. Yeah. Yeah. Now, who
Yeah.
came up with the name Superpower Beatdown? Because I see there's plenty of interviews where Aaron says him and his father came up with the name Superpower Beatdown.
Negative. I will even show you the screenshot from 2011 or 2012. We had just finished doing a bunch of Batman fan films. Really, it was time. I was like, we're not going to make any money off of these because we're not making any money off of these because we can't because we don't own the IP. So we sat down in his living room with a legal pad, and we're like, all right, what do we have? What equipment? And it was cameras, lights, audio stuff, a Batman suit, a Thor suit. Do you know we have access to a 66 Batmobile? We have an 89 Batmobile. Holy shit! What would happen if they won in a race? Who'd win in a race? So it literally turned into what nerds talk about in comic book stores. Who'd win in a fight? Who'd win in a race? And Aaron had just come off of working on, I think it was a sci-fi series called Deadliest Warrior or something like that. And I believe he was a pirate versus a knight in armor, and it just kind of like fell into place. And the next night, he reaches out to me on Facebook chat and goes, "My dad and I came up with an idea. We want to do this. We want you to produce and host and be a part of this." And so I started kicking ideas around, and I forget what I had. I wrote them all down, and I put superpower beatdown worst because I was going to use the shit sandwich technique of give just, something terrible, something good, then something terrible, be like, which one do you want? So I led with superpower beatdown, and he was like, oh yeah, we're going with that one. I was like, no.
Wait. So you, all by your
So
lonesome, came up with Superpower Beatdown.
I came up with a superpower beatdown name, and Aaron was like, "That's the one we're going with." We did it. It was all through chat. I remember I was sitting in my room. Ben Dukes, who is Aaron's first AD on Legend of the White Dragon, and as well as Ninjak, and I think another thing. I think that's what Ben was doing. He was my roommate at the time. I remember the whole thing because I think I was talking to him about it, and he was like, "Sure." So it was cute. It was cute. So that's where that came from.
Okay, now you said, first off, how did you guys get access to Batmobiles?